The chamber of the Galactic Council was a place where countless worlds sent their representatives. Some came in tall shining forms, others in floating shapes of light, and some in scaled bodies with voices that echoed like stone. For thousands of years, the Council had judged new civilizations before allowing them entry into the great community of the stars. Every new member had to prove they were ready. The rule was simple. A species must master faster than light travel on its own. Only then could they be invited to speak before the Council. To most civilizations, this milestone took tens of thousands of years. It was a slow climb filled with failures, disasters, and long stretches of silence. That morning, the chamber was filled with a low hum of curiosity. News had spread through the Council worlds that a new species had crossed the barrier of light. It was a small world called Earth, spinning quietly around a yellow sun in the corner of the Orion Arm. Many representatives scoffed at the idea. "Humans are too young," whispered the tall envoy of the Kryn, her silver crest shining beneath the hall's lights. "They war with themselves more than they build together. What wisdom can such a world bring to us? They burn their own skies and poison their seas," muttered the delegate of the Veiler, a being of shimmering scales. "If they cannot care for their home, how will they care for the stars?" A few others laughed in agreement. The Council had records on Earth. Probes had passed through their system long ago, observing wars, famines, and the constant struggle of their nations. The reports painted a picture of chaos, of a species too reckless to survive in the long run. But the rules were the rules. Earth had broken the barrier. They were now to be given a seat in the chamber, at least for the trial session. The High Speaker of the Council, an ancient being of living crystal named Siron, raised a hand and the voices faded into silence. His tone was calm, yet firm. "Every species carries scars of its past. We all remember the centuries when our skies burned and our rivers ran dry. Do not judge them too quickly. The law of the stars is clear. They have earned their right to stand before us." The chamber quieted, though many still looked doubtful. Far across the void, on the edge of the great station of Vera Prime, a new ship approached. It was smaller than most council vessels, but its design was unlike anything the chamber had seen before. Instead of ornate decoration or strict uniformity, the human craft combined elegance with function. Smooth silver plates flowed into sharp angles, its hull carrying marks of both utility and style. It was not built to impress, but to endure. Inside, Commander Dale stood at the viewing deck, his hands behind his back. The Earthship was gliding into position, guided by the Council's drones. Behind him, Ambassador Myra adjusted her simple black uniform, her eyes calm but alert. "Do you feel it?" Dale asked quietly. Myra gave a small smile. "Every species watching us, waiting for us to fail." "Yes, I feel it." Dale's jaw tightened. "Let them watch. We didn't come here to bow." The docking sequence completed with a soft chime. Beyond the airlock lay the chamber of the Galactic Council, filled with thousands of beings from across the galaxy. Myra took a breath, steady but deep. Back in the chamber, whispers filled the air as the humans prepared to enter. Delegates leaned forward, eager to see the newcomers with their own eyes. Some expected creatures in bulky armor, others expected primitive clothing. When the doors opened, the humans stepped through with measured steps. They were not covered in symbols of war, nor did they try to imitate the styles of other species. Their uniforms were plain, their posture upright, their eyes sharp. For a moment, the chamber grew quiet. The humans did not stumble or bow nervously. They walked with the calmness of those who had faced storms and chosen to keep moving. Ambassador Myra led the way, her voice clear as she spoke the opening words. "Honored Council, we thank you for allowing us to stand in this chamber. We come not as conquerors, and not as beggars. We come as equals, ready to listen, ready to learn, and ready to share." The silence deepened. Many had expected arrogance. Others had expected desperation. But Myra's tone carried neither. It carried something else: steadiness. The high speaker studied them for a long moment. Then he lifted his crystal hand. "Earth has arrived," he declared. "And now the test begins." The chamber erupted into low voices once again, but none could deny one thing. The humans had arrived, and they carried themselves not as children of a young world, but as a people ready to face the stars. The docking bay of the great station Vera Prime stretched wider than most human cities. Its ceiling arched high above, filled with glowing streams of light that guided ships from every corner of the galaxy. Vast engines hummed in rhythm, carrying vessels in and out with perfect order. For centuries, the Council station had welcomed new civilizations, but none carried the same air of doubt that followed Earth. Hundreds of ships floated in observation, their crews eager to see the species that had arrived so late to the stars, yet so quickly broken their limits. Inside the docking bay, the Earth envoy ship slowed, its thrusters firing with precision. It settled onto the landing platform with a soft metallic hiss. Around it, delegations of other species leaned forward in their observation decks. The Kryn envoy, tall and silver-crested, tilted her head. "Their vessel is smaller than ours. Yet it is efficient." The scaled Veiler delegate gave a low hiss. "Efficient, yes, but fragile. A shell that would crack under real pressure." Others whispered the same doubts. Some laughed. Some frowned. But none could look away. Within the ship, Commander Dale stood with steady posture. He had faced storms on Earth, carried missions through fire and failure, but never had he felt so many eyes fixed on him at once. His boots were planted firmly on the floor as if anchoring him against the weight of the galaxy's judgment. Beside him, Ambassador Myra walked with calm steps. Her uniform was simple, dark, and unmarked by medals. She had chosen it on purpose, for she knew the Council would judge them first not by what they said, but by how they appeared. "Remember," Dale said quietly, his voice low enough for only her to hear. "They expect us to falter. Let them see what they do not expect." Myra's lips curved into the smallest of smiles. "I plan to." The airlock doors opened with a hiss. A cold wash of foreign air swept inside, carrying the faint hum of alien voices from the chamber beyond. For a heartbeat, silence filled the docking bay. Then the humans stepped forward. Delegates of other worlds leaned closer to their viewing screens. The humans were not tall like the Kryn, nor radiant like the luminous Kuril, nor armored like the stone-skinned Bran. They looked plain by comparison, flesh and bone, modest in height, unadorned. And yet, there was something in the way they walked. Their steps were even, their shoulders squared, their eyes sharp and unafraid. They did not move too quickly, but neither did they hesitate. It was a pace chosen with purpose, one that declared without words, "We belong here." A murmur spread through the chamber. The Council had expected arrogance, or perhaps fear. What they saw instead was steadiness, and that unsettled them more than either extreme. The High Speaker, Siron, observed them with his crystalline gaze. He remembered the reports on Earth, its wars, its struggles, its rise from fractured tribes into a global people. Now, standing in his chamber, they did not look like a broken race. They looked like survivors. As Myra led the group forward, she kept her expression calm, though her thoughts raced. Every delegate's eyes were on her, weighing every gesture, every breath. She had trained for years to speak before hostile audiences, but this was different. This was not a single nation she spoke for. This was humanity itself. Behind her, Dale scanned the chamber with quiet precision. He was a soldier, not a diplomat, but he understood the silent language of strength. Where Myra's words would guide, his presence was meant to show resolve. They reached the center platform. Lights above shifted, focusing on the newcomers. Myra raised her head, letting her gaze meet the countless faces arrayed before her. Representatives of the Council, she began, her voice carrying clearly across the hall. We thank you for receiving us. We come not in fear, and not in pride. We come to listen, to learn, and to share what we have built on our world. Her words, simple and direct, cut through the murmurs. The Velar delegate leaned close to the Kryn envoy. Strange. They do not ask for mercy. They do not seek favor. They speak as though they believe they already stand among us. The Kryn envoy's crest flickered with unease. Yes. That is what troubles me. The High Speaker raised his hand, silencing the whispers. Ambassador Myra of Earth, Commander Dale of Earth, you have crossed the threshold. The chamber of the council now listens. Speak with truth, for your words will decide your place among the stars. For a moment, the humans stood in silence, absorbing the weight of the moment. Dale glanced at Myra. She met his gaze, then turned back to the council. Her eyes, dark and steady, swept across the chamber. We are not perfect, she said. We carry scars. Our world has known fire and hunger, war and grief. But from those trials we have learned. From our scars, we have built strength. And though our home is only one small world, our spirit carries farther than any star we have yet reached. The words spread across the chamber, echoing in the silence that followed. For the first time in the session, many delegates did not whisper. They only watched. The humans had arrived, and they carried themselves not with fear, not with arrogance, but with something far harder to define: resolve. And the council could not ignore it. The chamber of the Galactic Council was not a single hall, but a vast circle layered with tiers of seating. Representatives from hundreds of civilizations leaned forward in their places, their eyes fixed on the humans who now stood at the center platform. The silence that followed Myra's opening words stretched like a heavy curtain over the hall. The High Speaker, Siron, let the pause linger. Then his crystalline voice rang out. Ambassador Myra of Earth, you have spoken of your scars and your strength. Now the council will ask. We must see your truth with our own eyes. A murmur spread through the chamber. Delegates raised their hands, signaling their desire to question the newcomers. It was tradition: every new civilization was tested with questions both sharp and difficult. The first to speak was the Kryn envoy, her tall silver crest shining in the light. Humans of Earth, she said, her tone cold, your world is known to us. The records speak of endless wars. Tribe against tribe, nation against nation. Tell us, why should we believe that a species so divided is ready to join the unity of the council? Myra did not hesitate. Her voice remained steady. Because we have learned from those wars. They brought pain, yes, but also progress. From conflict, we learned the value of peace. From division, we learned the cost of pride. It was not easy, and it is not finished, but our strength comes from facing what we once were. The chamber shifted with quiet unease. Most species tried to hide their past mistakes when speaking to the council. Yet these humans laid them bare without shame. The Velar delegate, scales shimmering like oil, leaned forward next. His voice was sharp. Your skies are poisoned. Your oceans have carried waste. You have hurt your own home for the sake of growth. Do you expect us to welcome a species that cannot even care for its first world? Commander Dale stepped forward, his voice deep and calm. Yes, our world has suffered because of us. But we did not ignore it. We acted. We changed. We learned to heal the air, the waters, the land. We still work to mend what was broken. But understand this: our mistakes did not end us. They taught us that survival means responsibility. And that lesson will not be forgotten. The Bran representative, a being with skin like stone, let out a rumble that echoed across the chamber. You admit weakness. You admit scars. Most who stand here boast of greatness, but you speak of failures. Why should that not prove you are unworthy? Myra lifted her chin, her gaze sweeping the room. Because truth builds trust. If we only spoke of victories, you would hear nothing of who we are. We are not perfect. We will never claim to be. But it is because of our flaws, and our will to rise above them, that we are strong. You ask why we are ready to join you. The answer is simple: we never stopped rising. The hall grew still again. Her words, plain and direct, carried a weight the delegates could not ignore. Some looked unsettled. Others frowned in thought. A few nodded quietly. The Curl delegate, a being of shifting light, spoke next, their voice like music. Humanity, tell us this. What do you value most? Power, knowledge, peace, or survival? Myra's answer came without delay. Choice. The ability to decide our own path. Power without choice is tyranny. Knowledge without choice is wasted. Peace without choice is hollow. Survival without choice is slavery. We value freedom, the freedom to shape our future, even when it is uncertain. The chamber rippled with reaction. To some, the answer sounded reckless. To others, it sounded bold. The high speaker tilted his crystalline head, studying the humans carefully. At last, he raised a hand. The questions ceased. You have spoken with honesty. That is rare in this chamber. But words alone do not decide. The council requires more. We will test you. Dale's eyes narrowed. Test us how? Siron's crystal body caught the light, scattering colors across the chamber. You will be given problems to solve. Questions of science, of reason, of survival. If you can show wisdom, not only in words but in action, then your place among us will be earned. Myra gave a single nod. We accept. The silence stretched one final time before the chamber broke into murmurs once more. Some envoys scoffed, certain the humans would fail. Others whispered that perhaps Earth's boldness was not arrogance, but something more dangerous: hope. As Myra and Dale stepped back from the platform, they exchanged a brief glance. Neither spoke, but the message was clear. This was only the beginning. Far above, the high speaker sat in thought. Every new species brought with it questions. But rarely had one unsettled the chamber so quickly. Humanity had come with no promises of perfection, no cloak of false pride. They had come carrying scars, and yet, those scars gleamed brighter than polished stone. For the first time in many years, Siron felt something stir in the chamber. It was not fear. It was not anger. It was something far rarer. Curiosity. And with that, the first impression of humanity was set. The chamber darkened as the test began. Panels of light unfolded above the platform, projecting vast streams of data into the air. Numbers, symbols, and shifting patterns formed a storm of questions that spun around the humans. It was the council's way. Every new species was given challenges drawn from centuries of unsolved problems. Some were matters of physics, others of biology or engineering. Many civilizations had stumbled at this point, proving that their progress in travel was an accident rather than true understanding. The Valor delegate leaned forward, his scales glinting. Let us see if these humans truly earned their place, or if they simply stumbled into the stars. The first problem appeared in the air, a collapsing energy field surrounding a planet. No species had yet found a stable method to restore it without destroying the atmosphere. It was a puzzle that had stood for 200 years. Ambassador Myra glanced at Dale, then stepped back as he moved forward. His eyes scanned the data quickly, his hands working across the projection interface. Lines of calculation began to form. Delegates watched with sharp interest. Some expected confusion, others expected panic. Instead, they saw focus. Dale muttered only once, to himself. Containment first, then balance. He drew a model in the air, combining methods of thermal transfer with atmospheric cycling. It was not perfect, but it created stability where none had existed before. Gasps filled the chamber. The Kryn envoy narrowed her eyes. Impossible. No one has solved this in centuries. Dale looked up. You were all searching for a way to force balance through energy control. We tried another path, use the planet's own rotation and natural cycles as part of the system. It does the work for you. The hall erupted in noise, half disbelief and half awe. The second problem unfolded immediately. This time it was biological, a viral chain that no council world had been able to neutralize without destroying its host organism. Delegates whispered that this would surely end the humans' moment of pride. Myra stepped forward. She studied the data, her brow furrowed in thought. She had trained in diplomacy, but she also carried years of study in human medicine. Her voice was calm. You are trying to erase the chain. But sometimes, the answer is not to erase. It is to teach. She drew connections between the viral chain and its host, showing how Earth scientists had once fought similar problems by building immunity instead of destroying the threat outright. This does not remove the chain, she explained, but it makes the host stronger. On Earth, we call this adaptation. Survival through change. The Curl delegate, glowing with soft light, leaned closer. You are saying the weakness can become strength. Myra nodded. Yes. That is how our species has survived every challenge. We turn weakness into strength. For a moment, silence hung in the chamber again. Many delegates looked unsettled. The humans had not only answered the problems, they had done so by thinking differently, using solutions no one else had imagined. Then the third and final challenge appeared. It was the hardest. The council revealed the design of the human faster-than-light engine, captured by probes during its activation. The question was direct: how did you achieve this? Whispers spread instantly. Most species had needed centuries of guidance from others before building such an engine. The humans had done it in a single lifetime. Many had believed it must be stolen, or discovered by accident. Dale stepped forward once more, standing tall at the center of the light. We did not copy anyone. We did not stumble into this. We built it because we had to. He brought up diagrams of Earth's history, satellites, rockets, early stations, and the first attempts at long-range engines. Then he revealed the core principle, a hybrid drive that combined gravity manipulation with energy folding, something no council race had tried. You searched for straight paths through space, Dale said firmly. We searched for folds. Not because it was easier, but because it was the only way we could reach the stars with what we had. The hall fell silent. Delegates who had mocked humanity earlier now sat frozen. The engine design was not only unique, it was brilliant. The High Speaker, Siron, rose from his seat. His crystalline form glowed as he spoke. In all the ages of this council, few have arrived with a gift that changes how we see the stars. Humanity, you have shown that you do not walk in the steps of others. You carve your own. The chamber buzzed louder than ever. Some delegates looked inspired. Others looked uneasy, even fearful. The humans had not come begging for recognition. They had come with answers, with proof that they could solve problems the galaxy had long abandoned. Ambassador Myra and Commander Dale stood side by side, calm in the storm of voices. They did not boast, they did not smile in victory. They only waited, steady and unshaken. For in that moment, every being in the chamber realized the same truth. Humanity had not come to the stars by chance. They had come because they refused to stop reaching. The chamber did not calm after the revelations. If anything, the voices grew sharper, louder, more divided. Some representatives whispered in awe, but others hissed in suspicion. The Valor delegate rose, his scales glinting under the lights. No, I do not believe it. A young world cannot outpace civilizations that have studied for millennia. They must have stolen these designs. The Bran, heavy and stone-skinned, rumbled in agreement. Or perhaps they are clever liars. Words and numbers can be shaped to deceive. Let them prove themselves in more than talk. The call spread quickly. Many agreed. The council chamber thrummed with demands for more. The high speaker Siron raised a crystal hand for silence, and when the voices fell, he spoke. The council has heard the doubts. Humanity, you will not leave this chamber tested only by questions. You will face trial in the simulation halls. If your spirit is as strong as your words, then it will be seen. Myra gave a short nod. We accept. Dale's jaw tightened, but he did not speak. He knew better than to argue. The simulation halls of Vera Prime were vast arenas where environments could be created at will. Some trials tested minds, others tested survival. When the humans stepped inside, the chamber filled with observers. Thousands of delegates pressed forward, eager to watch. The first challenge unfolded around them. The floor shimmered, and suddenly they stood on a barren world. The ground cracked with heat, the sky burned red, and no water could be seen. A voice echoed from above. Test 1. Survive. Dale scanned the horizon quickly. Desert conditions. No cover. Limited time. Myra shielded her eyes from the sun. We'll need to move. Shade, water, shelter, those are the basics. Delegates whispered as the humans moved across the simulated wasteland. Other species had failed this test, panicking or collapsing in the endless heat. But the humans did not falter. They rationed their energy, paced their steps, and used scraps of stone and cloth to make shade. When the test ended, they still stood. The second challenge came without warning. The desert shifted into a frozen plain. Winds howled, snow cut like knives, and the ground turned to ice. The voice echoed again. Test 2. Adapt. Dale pulled Myra close against the wind. Stay low. We need insulation. He tore strips from his own uniform and bound them tight, covering their hands and faces. Myra gathered ice into layers, packing it around a hollow she carved into the drift. Together, they built a crude shelter, small but enough to block the deadly wind. The delegates leaned closer in surprise. The Bran rumbled low. They improvise. The Curl delegate glowed softly. Yes. They do not rely on tools alone. They use what is given. The third challenge came harder still. The frozen world dissolved, replaced by a labyrinth of walls and shifting doors. Lights flashed, alarms rang, and strange machines began to close in. Test 3. Endure. The machines pressed from every side, their arms sweeping wide. The humans could not outrun them forever. Instead, Dale studied their rhythm. Patterns, he said. They move in cycles. Watch the timing. Myra followed his lead. Together, they dodged through the maze, slipping past the machines just before their arms struck. At one point, Dale shoved her aside, taking a heavy blow across his own shoulder. He staggered but did not fall. They pushed forward until the final gate opened. The machines froze. The alarms faded. The chamber of the council erupted. Some delegates clapped their hands or raised their voices in awe. Others sat in silence, their doubts cracking. The high speaker's crystal form shimmered with light. You have faced trial by survival, by adaptation, and by endurance. You did not fail. Still, the Valor delegate hissed. A trick. Luck. These tests do not prove strength, only chance. Myra's voice rang across the hall, steady and clear. Not chance. Choice. We succeed because we do not give up. We face what is before us, and we find a way. That is who we are. The words struck deeper than any calculation. The council knew that many species, when tested, surrendered at the first sign of failure. Yet the humans had pressed forward, again and again, not with great weapons or superior bodies, but with determination. For the first time, the chamber felt something rare: respect. As Myra and Dale stood at the center of the hall, breathing hard but unbroken, the delegates whispered among themselves. Humanity had not simply survived. They had shown the very spirit that the council claimed to honor. The High Speaker raised his hand once more. His voice echoed through the chamber. Let it be known the humans have faced challenge. And the council has seen their will. The hall fell silent. No more laughter. No more easy doubts. For in that moment, the galaxy understood that Earth was not weak, nor reckless, nor foolish. Earth was stubborn. And stubbornness, in the vast cold of the stars, was strength. The chamber of the Galactic Council had never been so still. Every delegate, from the glowing Curl to the stone-skinned Bran, stared at the humans. They had survived the trials. They had adapted where others failed. Yet what came next would leave the council unsteady in ways no test could. The High Speaker, Siron, raised his crystalline hand. His voice resonated throughout the chamber. Humans of Earth, you have shown resilience, creativity, and courage. Now speak. Tell us why you have come before the council. Ambassador Myra stepped forward, her eyes sweeping the room. She did not lower her gaze. She had rehearsed words, yes, but she had never needed to hide the truth of her people. We have come, she said, not seeking approval, and not seeking permission. We have come to meet the galaxy, to share what we have learned, and to continue learning. We have traveled far and achieved what we could on our own, and now we are ready to walk among you. The murmurs began immediately. Some delegates exchanged shocked looks. Others whispered anxiously to their neighbors. The Valor delegate's scales bristled. You dare speak as though you belong here already? Do you think your small, chaotic world has the right to claim a place among the stars? Dale stepped forward beside Myra, his posture firm. We do not claim your stars. We claim our place among them. We have survived, we have learned, and we continue to grow. We do not ask for your favor, but we offer our hand in cooperation. Take it, if you will. A hush fell over the chamber. The council had always judged new civilizations by their accomplishments, their knowledge, their power. Few had ever dared to declare independence from judgment. Humans were doing just that. The Curl delegate, their light flickering like a heartbeat, whispered, they do not seek our blessing. They do not bend. They declare equality. Whispers spread quickly through the chamber. The Bran rumbled in confusion. Such boldness. They are either brilliant or reckless. Perhaps both. Myra and Dale did not wait for approval. They stood tall, silent, letting their presence speak as loudly as their words. The council, trained for centuries to expect humility, found themselves off balance. Then Myra revealed the truth that few had anticipated. While we have come to speak with the council, understand this: we did not wait for your guidance to explore. We have already begun reaching out to frontier worlds, establishing alliances, and aiding species abandoned or ignored. We are here to cooperate, yes, but not to be restrained. The chamber erupted. Voices clashed in shock, some of admiration, others of outrage. Many delegates leaned closer, some fearful, others angry. The High Speaker's crystal body reflected the chaos around him. Ambassador Myra, Commander Dale, your words are bold, perhaps too bold. You declare independence, yet offer cooperation. You risk tension in this chamber. Myra's eyes remained calm. We do not risk. We simply state truth. Humanity has learned one lesson above all others: hesitation in the face of opportunity only delays progress. We will not delay. The galaxy is vast, and the council is only one part of it. We do not shrink from it, nor from our responsibilities. Dale added, we do not seek to dominate. We do not seek war. But we will not be ignored. That is the reality of our presence. And it is reality that cannot be denied. The delegates murmured again, quieter now, but with a weight that had not been there before. The humans had turned the chamber upside down. They had faced the council's tests and then, without aggression, redefined what it meant to stand among the stars. Some of the older, more cautious species exchanged glances. They will not bow. They cannot be swayed by threat or reward. They will do as they choose. Others whispered in fear or admiration. They are young, yet their spirit is older than many of us. The High Speaker lifted his hand one final time. The Council has witnessed your trials. It has witnessed your words. Know this: the presence of Earth has shifted the balance in this chamber. Some may see hope in your boldness. Others may see danger. That is the consequence of truth. Myra and Dale nodded in acknowledgement. They did not celebrate, they did not boast. Their task was complete, but their journey had only just begun. As the chamber slowly calmed, whispers of surprise, respect, and uncertainty filled the air. Many delegates leaned forward, watching the humans depart from the central platform. The realization spread quickly: Earth had arrived, and no one could predict what came next. Outside the chamber, Dale and Myra took a deep breath. The station hummed around them, a living world of light and motion. Myra smiled faintly. We left an impression. Dale's lips tightened in a small smile. An impression and a warning. The Council knows we are not like other species. They will need to adjust, or be left behind. The stars beyond the chamber stretched endlessly, but humanity no longer felt small. They had faced centuries of doubt, survived every challenge, and emerged not just as visitors, but as equals. And the galaxy would never forget it. The chamber of the Galactic Council was quieter than it had ever been. The echoes of debate and astonishment still lingered in the air, but the focus had shifted. The humans, Ambassador Myra and Commander Dale, had left their mark. Every delegate knew that Earth had arrived not as a minor curiosity, but as a force to be reckoned with. Outside the chamber, the observation decks hummed with whispers. Delegates who had once scoffed now spoke in hushed tones. Some debated how to respond, others questioned if their old assumptions about humanity were wrong. Many felt a mixture of admiration and unease. The humans had arrived with no desire to impress, yet the galaxy could not ignore them. Dale and Myra walked along the platform toward the airlock. The Council's tests had ended, but the echoes of what they had accomplished were everywhere. Dale glanced at Myra, his expression thoughtful. We did what we came to do, he said quietly. But I think they still do not understand us. Myra nodded. Understanding will come in time. Some may never understand, but that does not matter. We have made them rethink everything they believed about humanity. The High Speaker's voice came over the chamber's communication system. Ambassador Myra, Commander Dale, the Council acknowledges your achievements. Your people have not only survived our trials but have redefined the expectations of all who dwell among the stars. Dale paused, then asked, so, we are accepted? Siron's crystal form glimmered. Accepted, yes, but more importantly, recognized. Recognition is not granted lightly. Humanity has proven its value, its creativity, and its spirit. You have shaken the Council in ways few civilizations ever have. The humans stepped into their ship, the doors closing behind them with a soft hiss. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly, and for the first time, humanity looked at the galaxy not as a distant dream, but as a reachable home. Myra walked to the control panel and activated the navigation display. The frontier worlds are waiting, she said. There are planets that need guidance, species that need help, discoveries that are ours to make. Dale smiled faintly. We will continue our work. We do not seek glory. We seek to grow, to learn, and to make a difference. As the ship lifted from the platform, delegates in the Council watched. Some were still wary, but most could not hide their amazement. The humans had arrived in a way that forced every species to reconsider the value of courage, resilience, and honesty. The Kuril envoy whispered to a neighboring delegate. They do not act like others. They are young, yes, but their vision stretches farther than any I have known. The brand delegate rumbled softly. Their methods are unorthodox. Their success is undeniable. They are a reminder that strength does not always come from tradition. Meanwhile, news of Earth's arrival and performance spread across the galaxy. Worlds that had once dismissed humanity now reconsidered their assumptions. Frontier colonies, previously ignored, received assistance and communication from Earth. Knowledge and guidance flowed, not from a desire to dominate, but from a desire to help. Myra and Dale spent hours reviewing reports from these newly reached worlds. They sent messages of peace and cooperation. They offered solutions to problems that had baffled local civilizations. And every action carried the quiet confidence of a species that had faced impossible trials and survived. Back in the council chamber, delegates debated long into their cycles. Some called for new alliances with Earth. Others cautioned restraint, fearing what humanity might do next. But all agreed on one point: the galaxy had been changed. The arrival of humans was not a passing event, it was a turning point. In the observation decks, Siron, the High Speaker, reflected on what had occurred. Humanity had arrived not to dominate, not to beg, but to stand on its own. In their honesty, their ingenuity, and their unyielding spirit, they had shown what it truly meant to be alive. The Council would face new challenges because of them. Old rules would be questioned. Assumptions would be broken. And yet, in the quiet of his thoughts, Siron felt a spark of hope. Perhaps this young, resilient species could remind the galaxy of something long forgotten: the value of courage, persistence, and the willingness to rise despite every obstacle. As Earth's ship sailed beyond the station, Myra looked out at the infinite stars. "We have only begun," she said softly. Dale's hand rested briefly on the control panel. "Yes. The galaxy is vast. But we are ready. We will meet what comes next, together." And so, humanity's legacy began not with domination, not with conquest, but with courage, honesty, and the refusal to be underestimated. The Council had been shocked. The galaxy had been reminded that even a young, small world could carry a spirit larger than any star. In the endless stretch of space, the humans of Earth were no longer unknown. They had arrived. They had endured. And they would shape the story of the stars for generations to come. The stars shone brighter, and humanity sailed onward, carrying with it the hope, determination, and unyielding spirit that no council, no species, and no obstacle could ever take away.